human beings will become a combination of machines and brain. And if you know how to sustain the brain for many years, actually you live for hundreds of years. You don't require your body to live. It is possible to integrate a human being with a robot, with the technology that is coming up. I sit in a room and I can do something with the robot based on the feedback from the robot directly. Suppose it has a camera and the vision that is available in the robot can be integrated to my sensory perception. And whatever he sees, I see. Because I don't have to have my eyes, light falling on my eyes to see it, because just the electrical signal is good enough. And what he touches, I will feel, because its fingers are going to be wired to the sensory system of mine. And what he smell, I will smell. If that is going to happen, I can create my replica in the form of robots. And I can send the robot to space. And when we walk on the moon, I will be walking on the moon, because I will feel that I am walking on the moon. Finally, everything in this human life is nothing but experience. And experience is nothing but memories that are going to be hidden in your brain. And if I can give you the memory in the form of an information or a data, you are experienced. So it means if I have to ever travel to space and then experience an interplanetary travel, I don't have to travel anywhere. I simply sit in my room. I send the robot with the sensory perceptions which are connected to me through Wi-Fi, and I will experience it. This way, human beings' experience and life can be extended beyond the imagination of society today. And this is what is going to happen. And when all this happens, the questions of ethics and the right and wrong comes into our play. Even in every actions of human being, these are the two important questions always asked by the people who deal with the other side of science. What you do is ethically right, what you do is socially acceptable. Whatever I mentioned is not going to be available to most of us, and we all will die in 70 or 80 or 100 years. Only those people who have the ability to find money and resources and then correct yourself will live for 100 years. The society will divide into people, those who have an ability to live for 500 years, and people will die at the age of natural death. And the type of social divide that is going to happen in the next hundreds of years are of this nature. It will not be religious. It will be purely based on technology access. Those countries who can access this technology will have the power. And those countries who doesn't have the resources, doesn't have the technology will die. And this is the social change that is going to happen. Are there any planets like Earth around? And this is a fantastic finding that has come, and many of you may be knowing. They are called exosolar planets. And today we have almost 5,000 of exosolar planets found out using the telescopes and observational systems in space. Every star in this this Milky Way galaxy has got a planet, and this is a new finding. We thought planetary systems are not there in most of the stars, but now we know most of the stars contain planetary systems, and like Earth, there could be other Earths and there could be other life forms present. One of the points that we need to understand when we talk about our future is how our present is created. Now, all of us know the Earth, when it was originally formed, it was not a habitable place. Maybe it was melting. Then it became solidified. It had no atmosphere to start with. Then its atmosphere formed. But atmosphere was filled with carbon dioxide, and there was no ozone layer. And all the ultraviolet radiations were falling on Earth, and no life could sustain in such a condition. And there was no oxygen and no life form could survive. But then there was a cyanobacteria that lived underneath the Earth system, and what it really did was a fantastic thing. The cyanobacteria could absorb the sun's light and convert or do the photosynthesis process. It takes carbon dioxide and water and produced oxygen. For billions of years it produced oxygen. And the atmosphere of the Earth changed from a carbon dioxide rich atmosphere to an oxygen rich atmosphere. And today we have an atmosphere which is something around 18% oxygen. Suppose it is such a delicate balance today. If the 18% became 20%, for example, can we ever live here? Because oxygen is pure poison, all of you know. In excess, oxygen can be very dangerous. Everything will catch fire. Our metabolism will stop and will react to that. So we have reached a threshold of precise balance today where we people, like any other life form, could sustain and survive on the surface of Earth. So in the development of the history of the Earth, we are at a juncture in the last millions of years. Millions of years is nothing, it's only a fraction of a time in the history of the universe. So we are at that point in time in the history of the universe that we are able to stand and discuss how this universe is created. And really it is a fascinating story. Human being, a very highly developed form of life, has an ability to ask this question to itself. Who am I? Where I came from? What for I am here? These are the three fundamental questions that human being can ask to itself. And the whole of the discussion today on the future of the world and the spirituality comes out of these three questions. Who am I? Where from I came here? And what for I am here? I don't know whether any other creature, any other life form that is existing on the surface of the earth can ask this question. And this is the ability of the human mind to ask this question to oneself. But in millions of years, there will be a drastic change in this ecosystem that can make life impossible. Are we doing something today to revert that change and bring back the situation on the surface of Earth so that life can still sustain without any change, without any damage? Then you will ask the same question. Earth know how it has sustained till now, and it will find its own way to correct and to sustain it. And let us be not fools that Earth has no interest in you. Earth existed not because of you. Earth existed because Earth existed. Nothing more and nothing less. And you are such an insignificant creature on the surface of Earth. And this is something that we have to realize today. Unless you take care of the Earth today, it will not support you for millions of years. So this is one of the responsibilities that we need to have. Another responsibility which I should discuss is about few last thousands of years. If you look at the history of the world, I would like to talk about three important points. One, food. Second is disease. And third is war. If you look at food, are you seeing anybody dying because of lack of food, poverty really around you? Are you seeing? There are people with poverty. There are lakhs of people with poverty. But the level of poverty today is so less compared to that existed 500 years back. Or even just 100 years back. If you look at the example of India, when the British were ruling us, millions were dying in Bengal due to famine. Probably at that time, newspaper, those who lived at that time may be knowing, just because food grains are not available, people were dying, they were eating grass, and Bengal was one of the famine hit area. Today in India, we won't hear massive famine anywhere. Maybe definitely some people will be dying because of lack of food. If you look at entire globe, you will not see famine of those magnitude that existed 100 years back. It doesn't mean that famine has vanished or food grain production has increased in such a way, it has come out because of one important reason: technology. Why in Bengal people died is not because there was no grains available. The grains from Britain came to the port of Mumbai, and to move the grains from Mumbai to Calcutta, it will take next 2 months at that time. And in 2 months, millions of people perished. Today, if in anywhere in the world there is a famine, I can tell you in a day's time, food grains will reach. Because the type of transportation system, the awareness, the information passage that is available today is so powerful that it can reach. So nobody will die of famine just because there is a lack of food grains, but only because there is a lack of logistics or poor planning. Otherwise, nobody will die in this world today. Second point is about the disease. All of you know, in Europe, just 100 years back, thousands were dying because of plague. You know, it was a black. What is that? There was a black punishment or something like that. It was called, and people were simply dying in Africa. In US, yesterday they were telling because of fever, the rat fever which we talk about. In America, lakhs died once, 1960s, and the entire villages and cities were wiped out. Actually, Paris was 50% of the Parisians died just because of one disease, outbreak of a disease. Are we hearing anything like that today? We are hearing about rat fever, and some hundreds of people die. But within 1 week or even 2 weeks, it is brought under control. It doesn't spread in such a way that it becomes 50% of a village die or 50% of a city die and no cure. Today we know the technology has changed the way we handle disease, and the way in which we can handle disease has significantly improved. For example, look at AIDS. We have been talking about AIDS is going to wipe out the entire human race. This was the way it was being told once. What is happening to that today? AIDS disease rate increase in India has come down. Actually, in the last few years, it has actually dropped significantly. It is not only in India, but also all around the world. It is only because that we have the technology to master it and control it. Now look at the third point is war. Maybe a few hundred years back, there were kingdoms and kings and queens, and they were waging wars each other, and every kingdom wants to expand its boundaries. Ashoka was fighting war, and Genghis Khan was coming down and killing lakhs of people, and there was war of crosses between in the entire Europe and the Middle Asia. They were killing each other for thousands of years. Are we anybody killing like that today? Is there any country invading another country to expand its boundaries today? Of course, there are some events of that nature happening here and there. You can see, if you go to West Asia, you see the story. You go to some part of this, some of the countries, it happens. But it doesn't happen on a global scale. People have understood the wars is of no use. And the type of death that is happening in wars have come down drastically. I am telling why these three important things is because the society is changing. Society is changing in such a way that we have understood significantly, and we need to maintain this for a very long time. What is the next goal of the human society? After conquering famine, after conquering disease, after conquering war, what do they want to conquer? They want to conquer death. This is the new finding. Human beings want to live forever. This is the future. You know our life, what is the average lifespan of an Indian today? It is more than 50 years. It was only 30 years just 50 years back. And in last 50 years, average lifespan of an Indian has increased from 30 to 50 plus. And in the next 25 years, I can tell you, it is going to increase to 70 years or even more. That means the possibility of a child born in this country and its possibility that it may live till 70 years is going to increase substantially. And when it is going to happen not only in India, but it is going to happen the world over. When it happens, the The whole globe is going to be filled with old age people. Youngsters will come, the percentage will be less, and older people percentage will be more. And those older people are very active people. At a 60 years of age today, if you see a person, is not the person that you would have seen 100 years back, a 60-year-old fellow. The 60-year-old fellow today is much more active, energetic, productive compared to the 60-year-old 100 years back. There are stories, people say, my grandfather was healthier than me, many people say, but it is absolutely wrong. No, you have to do statistics to understand this. Hearsay doesn't matter. There will be always exceptions of some grandfathers very strong at the age of 70, but not all of them. But today I don't see grandfathers at all. Even 60, 70-year people are working very effortlessly along with us in this row. Now the need of the human society is to increase this lifespan to 100 years, 150 years, 200 years. Is it really going to happen? The technology predictions today say human beings are going to live for 200 years. They may live for 500 years. They may live for thousands of years. Is it really a possibility, or I am just talking rubbish? It is important to understand the science behind it. The science today is capable of extending your life beyond the possible deterioration levels of human body.